take one example. The working schedule in the industry is pretty fixed generally. Not necessarily longer, but it's pretty fixed, which means you go there maybe at 9 and you go home at 5. You have lunch hour and all that. But in academia, you pretty much could work anytime you want. Of course, the hours could be even longer actually. And you do have the intellectual freedom, and also you can speak what your opinion is much more independently. If you want to do any media interview, or if you want to do, or if you have any kind of investment prediction, it will be very hard in the industry to do that because basically you have to get the permission of the firm to do that. And if you have any disagreement in terms of what's the projection of what the economy will be, what the investment portfolio should be, then you wouldn't be able to speak out anything. So take one example. I did see the 2008 financial crisis coming, but most people don't. So understandably, it's very hard for me to sway the portfolio, holdings, portfolio positions in our firm. If we did that, we probably could become the largest, quant management firm in the whole world potentially. But we didn't. There are many reasons, understandably. It's hard to sway the opinion. However, I'm not able to really, advise other people publicly as well, or put up my reasoning, in different format outside. So I think that's also another benefit in terms of being academia versus in the industry. The pay in the industry certainly is better. Could be much better actually, quite a few times higher than in academia. In academia, it's not bad for accounting, finance, or business school professors, but still in the industry could be much higher. But you could, if you have flexible time, if your time could be very valuable, then same thing. You can make up your income with many other ways. That's another things you can do. And then one other thing, of course, is HKUST is a pretty good school, and back to Asia is almost going back to where I originally from, even if I stayed in the U.S. for almost 20 years. I think it's almost brand new, because when I was a kid, I mostly stayed within China, and traveling wasn't as convenient in China before. So I have a little bit more opportunity to explore China, explore the rest part of Asia, and also, of course, last but not the least important is I could have a lot more interaction with the students, and it's fun to teach students and hopefully share my knowledge with them, to help them to grow. Eventually, that's also very rewarding. Of course, it's fun to see young faces every year, and it's kind of a sad thing to be the person who get older every year. The other people don't get old, but you do. So I think that's kind of what I thought about. Going back to Asia, going back to academia. That was a kind of a fund I'm helping to determine strategy, investment strategy. So it's an investment fund, and I'm doing consulting with, and since I'm the main person, help them to determine the investment strategy. Basically, they put what I predict, what I said, as a sequence, into the WeChat tool. And if your friends are interested, they can look at that. I used to have a blog basically in English, but it's on Google server. It's blocked in China today. It's not because what I said was controversial per se, but because Google server is kind of limited in China. But WeChat is not. So now I basically have a Chinese version and on WeChat too. WeChat is a great application. I think very helpful.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of things from WeChat as well. So I think that's something we're just starting to do. CQ is a kind of quant investor, both buy side and sell side organization. It's a sister organization of something called CQA, and CQA is the full name is called Chicago Quant Alliance. It started from early 90s, and it's one of the two largest quant investor organizations in North America. And also, there are global membership as well, from some from Asia, some from Europe as well. And I was a member actually when I was graduated from PhD in 2002. They have an academic competition, so I submitted my paper there, and my paper actually made it to be the last 3 people. It's called finalist for that competition. It's kind of a very prestigious thing, and we present the paper in front of all practitioners, and they're great. So I got the award from there, and I know quite a few people from the conference and all that. I keep contact with them, and eventually when I moved to industry for a few years, then basically I start to join this organization, and played a little bit role in the organization. So when I moved back to Asia, the founder of the organization in U.S. actually followed me here, in 2011. He actually stayed in my apartment, so that's kind of a little bit benefit of having a slightly bigger living space. I should say that's a very foresight of USD. Yeah. And so we actually start that organization, and I'm actually the first board member of CQ Asia. So we start to have conferences in the last 4 years. So we had 4 times already. First time we collaborate with Credit Suisse, and the last 3 times we collaborate with Deutsche Bank. So basically the collaboration mostly is based on using their facilities, because they're both in ICC and has a pretty beautiful office and all that. And IT people, support is very good. Catering is also pretty decent. So those are the reasons we collaborate with them. So usually we have people who are on the program. I usually try to avoid to be on the program, but we have different speakers on the program. So for example, in France department here, we have just retired professor Bruno Sonic. Bruno has actually spoke for us, in the first conference, and Caleb Chang, as our former academic, also spoke on that conference as well. And so that's basically something we did. And in addition, we have we're going to have some mini seminars of trying to build some network between academia when they have papers, asset pricing papers, or if they find certain or risk management papers, they want to get comments from practitioner. We're going to try to have some some seminars where they can present to seminars, and hopefully the practitioner can learn the idea, but also the academics could get some feedbacks to see, potentially help them to add some real world consideration. And we do that in conference as well. So the conference usually is sort of like the both buy side and sell side, and 2-day conference, and we also have academic competition, and people from kind of all over the world, not just Asia. The speaker, if you look around, actually many people from North America, and some also come from Asia, all over Asia, like Australia or Singapore or Japan, different places, China certainly, to the conference. And so I usually try to invite a limited number of students there. And this year there happened to be a few students who was early enough to take the offer. I think from a student point of view, to understand the conference material might be challenging at this stage because the knowledge, the hardcore knowledge is still limited.
Yeah, very limited.
Right. So there's still a lot of room for students to improve, to learn. Which is good. Right? But at the same time, I think this is a valuable opportunity in terms of networking. Right? And that's something a lot of students don't necessarily appreciate the importance of it. Right? So when I teach this, when I have class, student management fund class, we'll have speaker every week. So it's almost like 10 speakers per semester. Right? Many of the speakers, if you talk to them, they are actually, they are willing to spare some time if they do have the time to talk to students, to give them some career advice or some industry perspective, right, practitioner perspective. One way I always nudge students, ask them to do, is ask them right after the class, trying to approach the speaker, get a card, business card, right, and then email them later. And there's something called LinkedIn. Okay, so on LinkedIn, you might be able to connect with them. So they might already have a profile there. And by keeping in touch with them, you can drop to Central or ICC. Those are the two concentrated, kind of financial practitioner center in Hong Kong.